Welcome to Select Topics in Law Enforcement. My name is Derek Pike, and we're here for week 3 live session. First off, we're going to start talking about week 3's discussion question that was due on Wednesday. Police officers contend that civilian review boards are not needed and that citizens do not understand the police role and therefore cannot be objective when investigating the police. Can this opinion be substantiated? Why or why not? Very interesting question. There's a lot of mixed reviews on this question because a lot of law enforcement agencies do think that civilians don't have enough knowledge base in law enforcement because they didn't go through all the classes and the schooling and all the education to understand the operational side of law enforcement. But on the other hand, a civilian can sure understand the ethical dilemmas and the ethical behavior of law enforcement to do the right thing, what's the difference between right and wrong. So civilians can handle that part. And I think that they would do a good job reviewing any type of ethical or violation. So it's been up for debate, and it's definitely a very good topic, and I'll read through and see how everyone did. Next, we're going to start talking about chapters. This week is chapters 7, 8, and 9, but I think we're gonna skip 7. It's pretty straightforward. The personal side of policing. It talks about discrimination, talks about women and minorities in policing, equal employment opportunity, Civil Rights Act of 1991. Just kind of thumb through it and look through the chapters, the PowerPoint, and read about the different things. It's pretty straightforward. Federal courts and job discrimination, female representation, African American representation, gay and lesbian representation, and problems. So you can look through that chapter, and we're gonna move on to chapter 8. Chapter 8 is personal side policing, police ethics, and the police. Ethics. What is ethics? Ethics is defined as a study of what constitutes good or bad conduct. The term is often used interchangeable with morals, which is understandably because they came from similar root meanings pertaining to behavioral practice or character. So ethics is good. Ethics and moral needs to have good moral character along with ethics and to be ethical. It's important for police officers to study ethics. Most use a lot of discretion, must use a lot of discretion, must protect the Constitution and our public service. The dilemma of law versus order. Police corruption and brutality have always been part of policing. Police must comply with the same laws they are paid to enforce. Officers have to weigh many variables. No such thing as minor unethical behavior. Oh, it's no big deal. It just may be something small or something simple, but once you start, it gets bigger and bigger, and you may think just a little thing is okay. It's not. You need to be cautious of what you're doing and your behavior and make sure that it's not a minor unethical violation. Now, there are some ways to measure police ethical standards, organizational value systems, or code of ethics designed to educate and guide the behavior of those who work within the organization. Those of office, which to be considered a shorthand version of the value system or code of ethics. Every law enforcement has a code of ethics, which the next one is the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics, created by the International Association of Chiefs of Police. Every police department should have a code of ethics they go by. Review of the police. The Cadet Commission investigates police corruption in New York and found corruption in gambling, narcotics, prostitution, construction, bars, Sabbath laws, parking, and traffic. Retrieving seized automobiles from police. Sale of information, utilities, miscellaneous stuff. Judicial review, process by which actions of police are reviewed by courts. Landmark Supreme cases, Mapp versus Ohio, and Miranda versus Arizona. Reasons for police corruption. I know there's a couple of movies examples in here. The LA Confidential and everybody's seen the movie back in 2001, Training Day with Denzel Washington. Those are complete examples of a cop in Los Angeles who becomes involved in corruption on a street level of an organization. Reasons for police corruption, individual officer explanations. The blame for corruption is placed on the rotten apple. That's the majority of what I've seen in Florida. A lot of is on an individual basis, but it definitely is more than that in other places. Social structural explanations, neighborhood explanations, nature of police work, police organization, and police subculture. Types and forms of corruption. 2 types of corruption for police officers. Passive and accepted what is offered to them, and more aggressive and search out opportunities to exploit for financial gain. These 2 are defined as grass eaters and meat eaters. 4 types of police corruption: taking gratuities, taking bribes, theft or burglary, and internal corruption. 3 levels of police corruption: the rotten apple, like we talked about, unorganized and organized. Noble cause corruption: situational police officers bend rules to attend right results. More significant problems with economic corruption. Increasing in police departments can become a gateway for material rewards. This can be the starting point, and you can open the door for other things. Like I said, once you do it a little bit, you can stop it from going even further. Effects of police corruption: misconduct committed by an officer affects the officer, the department officer works for, committee of officer service, all police departments and officers in America. You get one bad apple in New York, it's going to affect us down here in Florida, because it's just the media representation of it, and just all police departments are bad because of 1 or 2 officers. Other police misconduct: drug-related corruption, drug users and dealers, good targets for corrupt officers. They are not going to call the police if they're a drug dealer and they're exploited. Sleeping on duty, fatigue, an issue for all individuals involved. Police deception, including perjury, when testifying in court. Sexual-related corruption, male officers using authority to sexually abuse females. And domestic violence in police families. Domestic violence is big, and it also weighs on the stress level of the individual officer. You're stressed at work, you take it home, you take it out on your family, your kids, your wife. And you can bring work home with you. You have to have some stress relief so that doesn't occur. So it all falls under ethics, moral conduct, misconduct, stress. It's all tied together. Bias-based police and racial profiling. Any police initiated activity that relies on race rather than behavior. Most people believe police engage in racial profiling. Interesting fact here. 72% of African American males between 18 and 34 believe they've stopped by police because of their race. Most police chiefs do not believe their personnel engage in this behavior. President Obama said it is just a fact that African Americans and Latinos are disproportionately stopped by police. I think it really relies on the geographical area. If it's a high crime area, you're going to have more police and more stops. The low crime area, not a whole lot going on, you're not going to have as much police presence. So regardless of what people are there, it's a geographical area. Sometimes is what I believe. Just throwing that out there. Police brutality. Police brutality has existed as long as there have been organized police departments. It's been around for decades. 2002, 26,556 complaints of excessive force reported. Average of 1 incident per 200 full-time officers. Some brutality can be attributed to noble cause corruption. Responses to police corruption. Investigations informed by Internal Affairs Division. This would be where your civilian or your civilian review boards would come into play right here. Or in Florida, we'll use FDLE, another Florida-based law enforcement agency other than our own. Disciplinary termination, preventive administrative actions, citizen oversight, independent review of complaints. Police civil and criminal liability. Civil liability, police officers may be sued in civil court for monetary value. Criminal liability, officers can be charged in violation of state penal law, which could be charged with a crime. Effects of lawsuits, police reform, police fear, more lawsuits. And just make sure we covered everything in chapter 8. Like I said, this is just an overview of some of the things. All right, let's summarize chapter 8 real quick. The media highlights incidents of police corruption or misconduct. We know that. Ethics is defined as a study of what's good or bad conduct. And it's critical to understanding the confronting police misconduct. Police behavior is governed by the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Supreme Court, case law, state laws, department policies and procedures, and law enforcement code of ethics. Police corruption has been around for many years, and several high-profile incidents have led to the Information Commissions to study the problem. There are many different responses to police corruption, including investigations, discipline, and preventative actions. Although use of force is a necessary part of the job, it must be reasonable and appropriate. When officers cross the line, force becomes excessive, and brutality is even more severe, with a significant disparity between the level of compliance and the amount of force used. Police may be held liable for their actions to the state courts or the federal government. And last but not least, only a very small percentage of officers are involved in misconduct. Although it'd be nice if we could eliminate all police defiance, that would probably never occur. Nevertheless, police departments must do all that they can to prevent police defiance. Now we're moving on to chapter 9. Traditional methods of police work. Random routine patrol. Officers driving a designated geographical area. Like, for instance, for example, my county is made up of, we probably have over 150,000 people. We have 13 deputies. They're all assigned a small geographical area that they patrol, and they're responsible for their calls in that area or to back up their zone partner, which is in a separate geographical area and a zone beside them. So we're relatively small. So we have one officer per zone that's responsible for his area. Rapid response to citizens, calls to 911, officers being dispatched to calls immediately. Retroactive investigation of past crimes by detectives conducting follow-up. So road patrol response out there, your deputy goes out on the call, takes a report, collects the information and writes a police report and files and forwards the information to the detective who does the follow-up. Police patrol operations, patrol. Foundation of police departments. Purpose of patrol, deterrence of crime, available for service to the public 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's always a unit able to respond to the scene and to make the public feel safe. Random routine patrol, the Kansas City study, first attempts to test the effectiveness of random routine patrol. Study is 15 deep, used 5 control, 5 reactive, 5 proactive. Collected the data, reported crimes, arrests, traffic incidents, response times, citizen attitudes, and civilian and business victimization. Results of the study failed to demonstrate that adding or taking away police patrols made any difference. The value of the study did not result in elimination of preventative or random routine patrol and set the stage for further experimentation with alternative patrol strategies and tactics. So it really didn't change much. Rapid response to citizens, 911 calls. Traditional way to catch criminals. Early studies of rapid response, 1967. Task force report improvements. 15 to 30 seconds variable. Later studies of rapid response, basic components, time between when crime occurs, a moment victim or witness calls police, time required for police to process call, travel time from time police car receives the call from dispatcher until it arrives on scene. It's very important. This is just response time. When dispatch receives the call, we immediately see it in the car. And dispatch is typing it in, it's on our computers being loaded, and we're seeing what they're writing. We already have the address. We can already be en route to the call. So you have like a couple of minutes to receive the call. Hopefully you can get to the call within a reasonable amount of time and more likely to be able to solve the crime or provide better assistance. 1 officer versus 2 officers in the patrol cars. I don't know of an agency in Florida that uses 2 offhand, but we mainly just use 1 officer per car. Larger urban departments deploy 2 officers. The urban rural departments prefer 1, like us. Also, police departments are comprising officer safety to save money. Where some of them believe they feel safer with having 2, having backup right there with you. Argument in favor of 2 officer patrol cars, less likely to be assaulted in pairs. Argument against 2 officer patrol cars, officers can become distracted or not quite as observant. Officers can be overly confident and have false sense of security. They might think, oh, it's 2 of us, we're good, there's no, and put their guard down. Return to foot patrol, mid-1980s, emphasize on return to foot patrol. The foot patrol is out in the neighborhood, level of fear decreased significantly. Citizen satisfaction with police increases. Of course, they like to see police walk around the neighborhood. It's a big crime deterrent. Police who patrol on foot have greater appreciation for values of neighborhood residents than police who patrol the same area in vehicles. Have greater job satisfaction, less fear, and higher morale than officers who patrol in automobiles. The evidence-based policing is the scientific research on policing. Uses overall crime fighting strategies and department policies. Model response to citizens 911 calls, direct patrol specific locations at specific times for specific crimes. Split force patrol, half the force responds to calls for service, and the other half performs directed patrol. Differential response to calls for service varies according to type of and severity of call. Alternative strategies. Uniform tactical operations involve use of traditional police operations in a more aggressive manner. Employ decoy vehicles using unoccupied marked patrol vehicles to give perception of police presence. Alternative vehicle deployment, bicycles, motorcycles, and scooters. Other police operational units, SWAT team and police paramilitary units. Emergency service units. Emergency first aid for sick and injured citizens. Rescue people trapped in automobiles and accident scenes. K-9 units, useful in burglaries and drug sniffing. Just make sure we covered everything we needed to cover. The Kansas City study, we talked about that. The foot patrol versus vehicle patrol. I think we covered everything. If you have any questions on chapters 7, 8, or 9, feel free to email me or call me or let me know. And otherwise, this will conclude week 3 live session. And simply write on your, you don't have to write a paper. If you missed this session, just write that you've reviewed the PowerPoint, reviewed the recorded session, and that's all I need for credit, just so I know that you looked at it and reviewed it. And I'll see you next week. Thank you.